You throw your uneaten food, product packaging, unwanted paper, and other residential waste into the trash. On trash pickup day in your neighborhood, you place your waste on the curb. A garbage truck pulls up to your curb and the waste is dumped into the back of the truck and it pulls away. You don't have to think about the waste you generated again. But maybe you have thought about where the waste goes as you watch the truck pull away from the curb. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, we generated on average 4.5 pounds of solid waste per person per day in the year 2000. Where does all this waste go? Some of it is recycled, some of it is composted, some is burned, and the remainder is placed in a landfill, which brings us to the focus of this video, the state-of-the-art Subtitle D sanitary landfill. More specifically, the Livingston Municipal Sanitary Landfill. This video was produced to give you an understanding of the regulations, engineering, construction requirements, operational requirements, monitoring requirements, closure and post-closure requirements, and financial assurance requirements necessary to allow you to place your waste on the curb and not think about it again. It may be useful to go over some of the terms and their definitions that will be used throughout this video. Landfill gas is generated when the organic waste fractions begin to decompose. The landfill gas is a byproduct of waste decomposition. Leachate is liquid that percolates through the waste and soils of a landfill, much like water percolates through coffee grounds to produce coffee. Leachate and coffee are analogous. Liner is a combination of compacted soil and thick flexible plastic used on the top and bottom of a landfill cell to prevent the percolation of liquids into or out of the cell. Final cap is the liner and vegetative system placed on top of a landfill cell that will not accept additional waste. Stormwater is rain or water from snowmelt that falls on or runs onto the facility. The Livingston Landfill, like most municipal solid waste landfills, is regulated through a state and local permitting and inspection process. The state permitting process is directed and sanctioned by the federal requirements enforced by the Environmental Protection Agency. The federal requirements were mandated with the passing of the 1976 Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, RCRA for short. Illinois regulations governing landfills are complex. Strict standards for construction, operating, and monitoring are required. Reviews of permit applications require consideration of the effect a proposed landfill might have on adjacent lands, including floodplains and natural areas. They also mandate engineered systems to prevent contamination of groundwater and surface water. More specifically, the Livingston Landfill, like other landfills throughout Illinois, is regulated through Title 35 of the Illinois Administrative Code, Subtitle G Waste Disposal, Chapter I Pollution Control Board, Subchapter Small I Solid Waste and Special Waste Hauling. These regulations control the location, surface water drainage, boundary and survey control, waste placement activities, operating procedures, and closure and post-closure requirements of the landfill. The regulations also control the design, construction, monitoring, and financial assurance requirements of the Livingston Landfill. Engineers registered in the state of Illinois are required to supervise the construction of landfills and sign many of the documents and plans that are required to permit and operate the landfill. Before a cell can be constructed at the Livingston Landfill, an Illinois registered engineer must prepare the designs and plans, and these must be approved by the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency. Today's landfill design includes plans for a liner system, a leachate control system, a gas control system, a final cap, groundwater, surface water, and gas monitoring systems, as well as other detailed items. But even before a landfill design can be submitted for approval, the engineer must have conducted a hydrogeological investigation of the area. The hydrogeological investigation looks at the geological and hydrological structure of the area with respect to the development of a landfill and the protection of the environment. The area designated for the development of a landfill must also be reviewed and cleared for any ecological, archaeological, or historical concerns. A registered engineer is also required to sign yearly monitoring reports and provide yearly inspections of the landfill. This is in addition to the inspections performed by the state. The construction of a modern landfill is an intricate, complicated, and expensive project, a far cry from the days of the dump. The main focus of the design and construction activities at the Livingston landfill is the protection of the environment. Construction of a landfill cell begins by clearing and grubbing the area of all extraneous debris. After the area is cleared, the cell is excavated and graded to an elevation approximately 4 feet beneath the finished cell elevation. When the excavation is complete, the contractor will begin to bring clay into the excavated cell and compact it in 8-inch layers until a thickness of 4 feet is obtained over the entire cell. This 4 foot of compacted clay is the first component of the landfill liner. The Livingston landfill is only required by Illinois regulations to construct a 3-foot clay liner. However, the county stipulates that an additional foot of compacted clay is added to the liner. The landfill cell is constructed so the bottom of the cell slopes to a central collection point. The cells at the Livingston landfill are generally constructed so that any liquid trapped on top of the liner will flow to the center collection trench and out of the cell through piping to a central leachate storage facility. Next, the contractor will excavate a trench along the center of the cell. Later in the construction, the contractor will install piping in the trench that will be used to collect leachate. On top of the compacted clay liner, the contractor will place a thick piece of strong and flexible plastic. The type of plastic used is 60 millimeters thick and made of high-density polyethylene plastic, also called HDPE. Together, the compacted clay and the HDPE plastic liner is called a composite liner, and this is the liner used at the Livingston landfill. On top of the plastic liner, the contractor will place a layer of coarse sand 1 foot deep. The sand serves as a drainage layer so that liquids that leachate may reach the piping in the trench. The leachate collection piping system is carefully installed in the trench. A heavy felt material is placed across the entire drainage layer to keep it in place until a lift of waste can be placed across the bottom of the new cell. The leachate collection pipe is connected to solid piping and to a leachate storage tank. The leachate goes through a pre-treatment process on site and then is hauled to the local wastewater treatment facility. The Livingston landfill facility generates approximately 5.5 million gallons of leachate per year. Visitors to the landfill may mistake the ponds located to the north and south of the facility as leachate storage lagoons. However, these ponds are not used for leachate, but rather are used for controlling stormwater. Stormwater is retained in the ponds in order that sediment and soils may settle out of the water. The daily operations at the Livingston landfill are carried out with a focus on safety, environmental protection, and public service. We believe it is a privilege to serve the Illinois public and take our responsibility seriously. The Livingston landfill is open Monday through Friday and from 5:30 a.m. through 12 p.m. Saturday. We have a staging area for trucks that arrive outside our operating hours. As a vehicle comes into the facility during operating hours, it will cross the scale to record the tonnage of refuse it is delivering to the facility. After the vehicle is weighed, it continues to the tipping area. At the tipping area, the vehicle will remove its cover and unload its refuse at the toe of the fill area along the bottom of the cell. The waste will then be spread over the current working area and compacted. At the end of the day, landfill staff will begin bringing in soil to cover the waste with a 6-inch lift. This is referred to as daily cover and is required at the end of each day the facility receives waste. The daily cover will prevent windblown litter, limit birds and other vermin, limit vectors such as flies and mosquitoes, and help prevent landfill fires. In areas of the landfill that will not receive additional waste within 60 days, a compacted layer of soil 12 inches deep will be applied. This layer of compacted soil is called intermediate cover. Litter is collected from the landfill site by the end of each working day. Portable litter fencing is used extensively around the active area to limit the amount of litter that is blown from the working area. The landfill is particular as to the type of refuse it will accept. The landfill does not accept any form of hazardous waste. Landfill operators are annually trained on the recognition of hazardous waste and other unacceptable materials. Part of the landfill operator's job is to monitor and visually inspect all incoming loads at the working face of the landfill. The landfill also periodically conducts load inspections to check for materials that are unacceptable at the facility. The landfill staff is constantly working to provide adequate access of the facility during all weather conditions by building new roads and improving existing roads. The staff also provides erosion maintenance, leachate and gas system maintenance, stormwater control system maintenance, and routine facility maintenance every day. As part of our commitment to the community, the Livingston Landfill has consistently played a role in local improvements. Some of the more recent investments we have made in the local community include sponsorship of the Boys and Girls Clubs in Pontiac, donations to St. Mary's School, 4-H, and the Humane Society. The environmental monitoring plan developed for the Livingston Landfill involves regular periodic monitoring events that include the collection and analysis of water and air samples used to monitor the movement of landfill gases and leachate. The plan uses visual controls, measurements, sampling, analysis, and report procedures. Among our most precious resources is our surface and groundwater, and the Livingston Landfill takes care to protect and monitor these resources. Early in the landfill's history, a thorough study of the surface and groundwater hydrology was performed. This study told the landfill designers the flow patterns, depths, volumes, and quality of the groundwater before and after it flows across the property boundary. Landfill gases are monitored at the site along the waste boundaries and in buildings and structures. Gas monitoring is provided to prevent the migration of landfill gases off-site and/or within confined spaces at the landfill. The accumulation of leachate on top of the liner is monitored to identify any blockages or other problems with the leachate collection system. The quantity of leachate collected and transported to the local wastewater treatment facility is monitored and periodically reported to the Illinois EPA as part of the facility monitoring plan. When the Livingston Landfill stops receiving waste in a cell, a final cover system is designed and constructed to minimize the percolation of precipitation into the waste. The final cover, or cap, is a combination of liner, stormwater collection and control system, and vegetative support system. The final cover system is constructed to provide optimal rates of infiltration, evapotranspiration, and runoff, which sustain vegetation, prevents erosion, and requires little or no maintenance. The landfill is and will continue to be required to provide maintenance to the facility through 30 years after the facility stops receiving waste. This period is often referred to as the post-closure period. Post-closure is the period that allows a landfill to stabilize so it no longer presents a threat to human health or the environment. Landfills are required to prepare a closure and post-closure plan. The plan requires the landfill to determine and plan for the landfill's final use. The Livingston Landfill has committed to provide funds for any design and final end use that the county chooses. Financial assurance requirements were promulgated by the EPA on October 9, 1991. The regulations require municipal solid waste landfills to demonstrate financial responsibility for the cost of closure, post-closure, and corrective action associated with the facility. The purpose of financial assurance is to assure that funds will be available if a landfill fails to perform needed closure and post-closure and/or address any environmental problems that may occur during and after the operating life of the landfill. All municipal sanitary landfills are required by regulations to have an active financial assurance plan. The Livingston Landfill meets the financial assurance obligations through an insurance policy which is currently valued at $19,573,758. This video is provided to help increase your understanding of where your waste goes after you place it on the curb. The Livingston Landfill staff appreciates your time and the opportunity to provide you answers regarding today's landfill regulations, engineering, construction, operations, monitoring, closure, and post-closure care. The Livingston Landfill is committed to its customers, community, and the environment.